Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever felt like you were stuck in an endless season of waiting? Like you've prayed, hoped, and done everything you could, yet nothing seems to change. You wake up each day wondering, when will my breakthrough come? When will God finally answer? Maybe you've been holding on to a promise, believing for something bigger, a new opportunity, a restored relationship, a long-awaited dream. But instead of movement, you've faced delay after delay. The silence feels unbearable, and doubt begins to creep in. You wonder if God has forgotten you, if He's really listening, if your waiting has been in vain. But what if I told you that your wait is almost over? That even now, beneath the surface, God is aligning things in ways you cannot yet see? What if the very signs of delay and struggle were actually proof that your breakthrough is near? God never makes us wait without purpose, and if you've been paying attention, you might have already noticed the subtle shifts, the unexplainable peace, the sudden confirmations, the final test of faith before everything changes. These are not coincidences, they are God's way of telling you, hold on, your time is coming. Waiting is one of the most difficult things for a human soul to endure. It tests patience, faith, and endurance in ways few other experiences can. When we pray for something, long for something, and hope with all our hearts, we expect some kind of answer, an indication that God has heard us. But often, instead of a clear response, we are met with silence. Days turn into months, sometimes even years, and still nothing changes. It can feel as though our prayers have vanished into the air, unheard and unnoticed. Yet what we often fail to see is that silence is not absence, nor is it a sign of rejection. It is, in fact, a form of preparation. God's silence before a breakthrough is much like the stillness before a great storm. The air grows quiet, the wind slows, and for a moment the world seems unnaturally calm. But this silence is not empty, it is full of purpose. Just as nature pauses before unleashing its power, God sometimes allows a quiet season to settle over us before He moves in ways we never expected. It is in this space of silence that faith is refined. It is easy to believe when we see progress, when doors are opening, and when signs of movement are all around us. But the real test of trust is believing when nothing seems to be happening. The waiting season is not wasted time. Though unseen, God is at work, aligning circumstances, preparing hearts, and making a way where none seem to exist. A seed, when planted in the soil, does not sprout immediately. For weeks there is no visible sign of life. But beneath the surface, hidden from view, the roots are forming, establishing a foundation strong enough to sustain future growth. If the process were rushed, if the seed were forced to break through the ground before its time, it would not survive. The same principle applies to our prayers and desires. What we interpret as delay is often God ensuring that what He gives us is strong enough to last. In these moments of silence, God is watching. He is not ignoring, nor is He indifferent. He is observing how we respond to the waiting. Do we still believe in His goodness when He is quiet? Do we still trust Him when our prayers seem unanswered? These are the moments that define faith, not the mountaintops where everything is clear, but the valleys where uncertainty looms. The silence before the breakthrough is where God refines us, strengthens us, and teaches us to walk by faith, not by sight. And then, just when we least expect it, the silence breaks. The shift happens. Suddenly things begin to move, opportunities appear, prayers are answered, and everything falls into place as if it had been orchestrated all along. Because it had been. God was never absent. He was simply preparing the way, and when the time is right, no force on earth can stop what He has set in motion. Life often feels like a series of closed doors. You knock, you wait, you push, and still nothing opens. It can be frustrating, discouraging, even exhausting. You begin to wonder if you are on the wrong path or if your prayers have gone unheard. But then something shifts. Out of nowhere, an opportunity presents itself. one you never expected or even considered. A door opens, not the one you were banging on, but another, leading you in a direction you had not foreseen. This is how God works. When your waiting season is nearing its end, He begins to open doors, sometimes in ways so subtle that you only recognize them in hindsight. God's timing is not like ours. We often expect things to happen according to our plans, within our deadlines, and in ways that make sense to us. But God is not bound by our limitations. He sees what we cannot see, knows what we do not know, and understands the perfect moment for things to unfold. When He is about to move, things that once seemed impossible begin to shift effortlessly. Where once there was resistance, now there is ease. Where once every attempt ended in disappointment, now doors open with little effort. It is not luck, coincidence, or chance. It is divine orchestration. Sometimes the doors that open are not the ones we were expecting. We may have spent years pursuing a certain career, a specific relationship, or a particular goal, convinced that it was the only path to fulfillment. But when God is about to bring you into a new season, He redirects you. A job offer appears in a field you had never considered. A conversation leads to an unexpected connection. An idea takes root that had never crossed your mind before. These are not random occurrences. They are signs that God is aligning you with His plan, not yours. It is easy to resist change, to cling to familiar paths and well-laid plans, but when God opens a door, there is a peace that follows, even if the direction is unfamiliar. You may feel nervous, uncertain, or unprepared, but deep down there is an unshakable knowing that this is the way you are meant to go. That is how God confirms His movement, through doors that open without force and a peace that surpasses understanding. But perhaps the greatest sign that your wait is ending is when you begin to see movement where there was once stagnation. Things start falling into place, resources appear, people show up at just the right time, and what once seemed out of reach suddenly becomes possible. It may not happen all at once, but the signs will be there if you pay attention. When God starts opening doors, do not hesitate. Do not let fear or doubt keep you from stepping forward. Walk through them in faith, knowing that what He has prepared for you is greater than anything you could have imagined. The wait has not been in vain. The doors are opening. It is time to move. There is a kind of peace that cannot be explained, only experienced. It does not come from circumstances, nor does it depend on whether prayers have been answered. It arrives suddenly, quietly, like a gentle whisper to the soul. It is the peace that comes when God is saying, "Your wait is almost over." For so long you have carried the weight of uncertainty. You have wrestled with doubt, wondering if things will ever change. You have prayed, waited and watched, hoping for a sign, yet seeing nothing. But then, something shifts, not in the world around you, but within you. The anxiety that once consumed you begins to fade, the restless striving eases, the questions lose their urgency, and though nothing outwardly has changed, you feel different, lighter, calmer, more certain than ever that God is in control. This kind of peace is not the absence of problems, it is the presence of trust. It is the deep realization that God has been working behind the scenes all along. The waiting season was never about withholding a blessing, but about preparing you to receive it. And now, as the appointed time draws near, God quiets your heart. He does not always announce His plans with a great sign, but He does give peace, a knowing in the depths of your spirit that something is shifting. When this peace comes, it often feels unshakable. Things that once troubled you no longer have the same hold. The worries that kept you up at night lose their power. You no longer feel the need to force things to happen because you trust that what is meant for you is already on its way. The doors may not have opened yet, but you know, beyond a doubt, that they will. This peace is God's way of preparing you for what is ahead. It is a reassurance that what He has promised will come to pass. It does not mean that the road will suddenly be easy or that there will be no more challenges, but it does mean that your spirit is aligned with His timing. And when that happens, even the obstacles do not feel like obstacles anymore. They feel like steps leading you exactly where you need to go. People around you may not understand this change. They may see the same circumstances and wonder why you are not worried, why you are not anxious. But you know something they do not, that God's promises do not fail, that He is faithful even when everything seems uncertain, that the waiting was never wasted, and the breakthrough is nearer than ever. So when you feel this peace, hold on to it. Let it be your sign that God is at work. Let it remind you that your waiting season is not forever. The promise is coming, the breakthrough is near, and the peace you feel now is the evidence that God is already moving on your behalf. Just before the greatest breakthroughs in life, the struggle often intensifies. It seems counterintuitive. Shouldn't things get easier if the waiting is about to end? But instead, everything feels heavier. Delays become longer, obstacles seem larger, and the battle grows fiercer. It is as if the very thing you have been praying for is slipping further away rather than coming closer. But this is not a sign of defeat. It is a sign that you are on the verge of something significant. When God is preparing to move, resistance often increases. The enemy knows that your breakthrough is near, and his greatest weapon is discouragement. He whispers that nothing is changing, that your prayers have been in vain, that you have been forgotten. The weight of waiting feels unbearable, and every delay seems like confirmation that things will never improve. But this is the moment when faith is tested the most. The darkness is always thickest before the dawn, and the fiercest battles are fought right before victory. It is not just spiritual resistance that rises during this time. Sometimes life itself seems to push back against you. Relationships are strained, unexpected challenges arise, and emotions fluctuate between hope and despair. You may feel overwhelmed, as if you are being stretched beyond your limits. But God is not punishing you. He is strengthening you. What you are facing now is not meant to break you, but to prepare you for what is coming. Think of a runner approaching the finish line. The final stretch is the hardest. Muscles burn, exhaustion sets in, and the temptation to quit is strongest. But it is also the most crucial moment. Not the time to slow down, but the time to press forward with everything left inside. That is where you are now. The struggle you are facing is not proof that your promise is far away. It is proof that you are closer than ever. This is the moment when many give up. They assume the difficulty means God has abandoned them, that their prayers have gone unanswered. But those who endure this final test, who push through the exhaustion, the doubt, the fear, are the ones who step into the promise. The battle is not a sign that God has left. It is a sign that He is clearing the path for you. And then, suddenly, the weight lifts. The obstacles begin to shift. What seemed impossible starts falling into place. The doors that were closed swing open, and the delay turns into divine timing. You realize that the resistance you faced was not meant to stop you. It was meant to refine you. So do not give up now. If the struggle has intensified, if everything feels like it is working against you, take heart. It means that the wait is almost over. It means that God is about to do what He promised. Hold on, push through, and trust that your breakthrough is just on the other side. One of the clearest signs that your wait is almost over is the sudden and unexpected arrival of confirmation. It may not come in the way you imagined, but it comes nonetheless. A word from a friend, a scripture that speaks directly to your situation, a sermon that feels as though it was preached just for you. These moments are not coincidences. They are divine reassurances, gentle nudges from God reminding you that He has not forgotten. For so long you have waited in silence, wondering if you were on the right path, questioning whether you heard God correctly. But then, at just the right moment, He speaks. Maybe it is through a conversation that unexpectedly confirms what you have been praying about. Maybe it is an opportunity that appears out of nowhere, aligning perfectly with the desires of your heart. Maybe it is simply an unshakable feeling of certainty that settles within you, a knowing that something is about to shift. God often uses external confirmations to strengthen our faith. He knows that waiting can be wearying, that doubts creep in when nothing seems to be happening. So, before he moves, he gives glimpses, small but undeniable signs that he is working behind the scenes. These confirmations are like pieces of a puzzle falling into place, revealing a picture that was hidden before. They do not always make sense immediately, but they serve as markers, guiding you toward what is coming. Sometimes these confirmations come in unexpected ways. You may hear a message that directly speaks to your situation at a time when you needed it most. A door that was once closed suddenly opens, or someone enters your life who carries the very answer you have been waiting for. These moments are not accidents. They are divine orchestrations, proof that God's hand has been at work all along. At times, the confirmation is not external but internal. A peace settles within you, a confidence that defies logic. The same situation that once caused anxiety no longer shakes you. You find yourself preparing not out of wishful thinking, but because you sense that something is about to change. This is how God prepares the heart. He does not always announce his plans in grand ways, but he does leave clues, and those who are attentive recognize them. When these confirmations come, take them as encouragement. They are reminders that your waiting has not been in vain, that every prayer, every tear, and every moment of faith has been seen. Do not dismiss them as coincidences. God knows exactly how to speak to you in ways you will understand. Pay attention to the signs, because they are leading you toward the fulfillment of what you have been waiting for. The moment is approaching. The signs are appearing. The pieces are falling into place. When God begins to confirm, it is because the breakthrough is near. Stay expectant, because what you have been waiting for is closer than you think. When your waiting season is coming to an end, there is often an unexplainable shift in your spirit. You begin to sense that something is different, even if nothing outwardly has changed. It is not just wishful thinking or desperate hope. It is a quiet but firm conviction deep inside you that God is about to move. It is as if your heart already knows what your eyes have yet to see. This shift is not based on circumstances. In fact, things may look just as difficult as before. The situation may seem unchanged and you may not have received any visible signs. Yet, inside, you feel a readiness that was not there before. The weight of waiting, which once felt unbearable, starts to feel lighter. The prayers that once seemed desperate now feel full of expectancy. Without knowing exactly why, you feel a growing confidence that what you have been waiting for is near. This is God's way of preparing you for what is coming. He does not just bring a breakthrough. He prepares your heart to receive it. If he were to answer your prayers before you are ready, you might not recognize the blessing, or you might mishandle it. That is why he allows this shift to take place within you before the external changes begin. He aligns your spirit with his timing so that when the doors open, you are ready to walk through them without hesitation. You may notice that your perspective begins to change. The things that used to cause anxiety no longer shake you in the same way. Fear loses its grip and hope takes its place. You start seeing possibilities where you once saw obstacles. You begin preparing, even though nothing visible has happened yet, because deep down you know something is coming. This is the Holy Spirit stirring within you, nudging you to get ready. Often, right before God moves, he gives you a final test, not to break you, but to strengthen your faith. This might be a moment where you have to choose between doubt and trust, between fear and faith. It might be the hardest moment of all, where everything in you wants to give up. But instead of despair, you feel something different this time. You feel endurance rising within you, an unshakable determination that you are not walking away now. That is how you know your breakthrough is close. Then, suddenly, things start to shift around you. A long closed door opens, a long-awaited opportunity presents itself, or a long-sought answer becomes clear. The movement you sensed inside begins to manifest outside, and in that moment you realize that the waiting was not just about receiving something from God. It was about becoming someone who could handle what He was about to give. If you are sensing this shift, hold on to it. Trust that God is aligning everything in His perfect timing. The waiting season is nearly over. The promise is about to unfold. Stay ready, because the breakthrough is on its way. The waiting season is never easy. It tests your patience, strengthens your faith, and refines your character. But when God is about to move, the signs become clear. Doors begin to open in unexpected ways. A deep, unshakable peace replaces anxiety. The struggle intensifies. Just before the breakthrough, confirmations appear, reassuring you that God has been working all along. And finally, you sense a shift in your spirit, a knowing that the time has come. If you have been waiting, hoping, and praying for something, take heart. Your wait is almost over. Every delay had a purpose. Every challenge was shaping you. Every silent moment was not God ignoring you, but preparing you. He has seen your endurance, your faith, and your perseverance, and now He is leading you to the fulfillment of what He has promised. As you step forward, do so with confidence. Do not be afraid to walk through the doors He opens. Do not let fear or doubt hold you back. What God has prepared for you is greater than you imagined, and the journey you have endured has made you ready to receive it. May you continue to trust in His perfect timing, hold on to faith even in uncertainty, and walk boldly into the blessings that await you. Your breakthrough is near. Stay strong, stay expectant, and remember, God is always faithful. Good luck on your journey, and may you find joy in the promises that are unfolding before you. Thank you for listening, and may God's blessings be with you every step of the way.